What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 28 of the More Smarter Show with your hosts, Jake and Dylan. Jake, what do we have on the agenda today?
Today we have Nick Benevento. And Nick, I'm going to say a sentence that I think has never been said in the history of sentences, but you can tell me if you know otherwise. But Nick owns an electrician company and a pizzeria. Is that
Never heard.
It might be a Jersey thing that there might be others as well.
Yeah. Everybody from Jersey with my last name would have a
That's right.
Valentine and owns a pizzeria.
Nick's electric company is Benevento Electric, and his pizzeria is Casano's Pizzeria.
Yep.
Rutherford, New Jersey. Awesome. So let's start with Nick, the electrician or the owner of the electric company. Why don't you tell us sort of how you got started in that and where you are today with that?
So I think like everybody else, I think the pandemic was the kickoff here. Yeah, I was sitting around a little bit, definitely going through some personal things. And I was always delaying getting my license. And then I decided to just jump in. I obviously had some free time based on the circumstances. So I jumped all in, and then I got my license in, I think February of 2020. And yeah, what are we, 2025? So 2025 or 2020. And then, by April, I started an LLC and was kind of doing side work, always doing side work. I was in the union for 20 years and, as a journeyman electrician, and I was doing great. I had no reason to leave, but, I just had an itch and I decided to just jump in. So I started by getting my license. I had a friend of mine, he was a business partner at the time. I'm not going to mention any names, but we wound up, going our separate ways very shortly after things started, but it was all good. We had a great, beginning. We mutually separated. But we started doing like little things, houses and stuff. And I just had that drive to say, like I really wanted to jump off and do this thing and have my own business. And yeah, it started slow. And we did it with no money. I had nothing. I think we just, putting money aside from each little job we were doing, and eventually was able to hire somebody and then hire another guy and then hire another guy. And then eventually it kind of just took off. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing. I don't think you need much money to start something. I think that was the benefit. I just knew, I was like, all right, we could just do it this way. And it just took off. So yeah, it's been great.
And where's Benevento Electric at today?
So I will say we are financially, we're doing pretty well. I would say we're about 1.8 in business right now, which is fantastic. Gross, obviously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been awesome. The growth with just having the contacts that I've been making along the way, the word of mouth, that's been my drive, to be honest with you. That's how I guess the business really kind of took off. I had the right people in place, like yourself, Jake. We met each other and, you've been doing things together, which is great. And then, people just saying, hey, this company's great. They're reliable. They're trustworthy. They show up. Their guys are good. They're clean.
How did you get your first customer when you left the union and went on your own?
Oh man. So, I'll be honest with you. We did our first house, and it was through my ex-business partner, and he wound up, that was the one. And then we knew a lot of people. So I was doing side work all the time. So, throughout my careers, it was good. I was doing things like that. And my name was around a little bit, but on me coming out and doing the work myself. So I had a little bit of a track record. So from there, I just went out and I started introducing myself and just telling people like, hey, I got this. Hey, I got this. And hey, I got this. And I had one contractor that introduced me to another contractor that introduced me to another guy or a friend of a friend. And, it started rolling. But the first contact I made, like I said, the first bigger job that we got was literally, through word of mouth and somebody that knew somebody.
So did you go full send into your own business, or were you also doing some union stuff while you started your own business?
Yeah, no, I was doing the union stuff, for like the first 8 months, I guess, something like that. I got to remember like April, May. I had like 6 guys working for us at the time. And I said, I was just like, I had that like shit or get off the pot moment, I guess, excuse my language. And I just said like, let's just do it. And, that's actually where the separation happened between me and the business partner at the time. Cause, I really wanted to go full bore. I remember having a meeting with the union reps and they were not happy that I had my own business and I wasn't like, going through them with the work and stuff like that. And I really wasn't financially ready to do any of that type of work. And I liked the residential aspect of it. I liked dealing with clients on that base. So, and a comfort zone thing, I guess you want to say, with the work. So I was happy staying in that realm. And when I just decided to say, you know what, I'm going to leave and I'm going to just do this full time. We were making enough money where I could collect a paycheck, a very modest paycheck to begin with.
Yeah.
And, enough to pay the bills. Let's put it that way. I just took enough that would cover my rent and my basic car payment and BS. And, yeah. And then I was it. And then it just started I said that too. I was like, I'm never going to go anywhere unless I leave this little safety net situation. Anytime you're working full time somewhere and you're doing this thing on the side, you're kind of like, it was still like a side thing. So
Yeah.
I was lucky. I had a good position at the business the company I was working for at the time. I was a foreman. I really had some guys working for me. So I was really able to just kind of operate with the phone and stuff. I would have my AirPods in. I'd be answering the phone. New clients would call. I'd be like, yeah, I was doing estimates at night. I was doing payroll at night. I was dealing with prints and project coordination at night. And it just became a little too much after a while. And I was like, I need to do this daytime or I'm never going to go anywhere. You know, he was in the union too, so he was working full time. So after work, he would go check on jobs. I would go check on jobs. We would do kind of things. I was able to keep kind of like a handle on certain things. So, but it was challenging and it did happen to get a little sloppy at a couple times where, but those are growing pains. I was firing people and laying guys off, that were, weren't the best or, weren't kind of following my procedures at the time. Yeah, it was definitely challenging. It became a little bit of if I had hair, I would definitely have pulled it out. So I think, but it was good though, because like I said, I was at the time with 6 guys, I had at least 3 jobs a day going on. So money was coming in, and it was good, but yeah, it was challenging.
So what does an employee look like when it comes to being an electrician? Like they're paid not a salary, right? They're paid by job?
Hourly. Yeah, no,
Okay.
You can pay them. I pay them hourly. So we got hourly. I got guys that are full time with me. I pay them hourly. I would say more based on years of experience, and then I'll adjust from there. So if a guy sat there and says, listen, I worked for 3 years full time with somebody doing residential work, some guys pick up things better than others. So, I'll usually give them something of a base at that kind of yearly range there. And then I'll adjust if they're great and they're hustlers and their work is solid and they're catching on to how things are working on how things are ran on the business end aspect, as far as like the procedures are in place with me, they're following them properly. I'll bump them up pretty quickly, like within 3 months, if I see that shine of a glimpse of hope, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense. So an employee might be working for you and doing their own thing as well, right? And that's sort of expected.
No, in meaning what, man? They're doing their own little work. They're doing their own work
jobs.
on the side.
Side jobs.
Yeah. So listen, I'd hate to be a hypocrite, and I would hate to be a hypocrite and stop somebody from hustling and making their own money. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there. You know what I mean? So I would say that the guys that hustle and they do their own work on the side, I do make sure that they're not trying to steal any work. And that's the kind of what I said by the double-edged sword. I will say this. I have a group of guys that have been with me now. The lowest have been 2 years. The most has been 5. And since I've opened, it's been really good. And they're honest, hardworking guys. We have a close group here that I really like. And I've gone through some. I've had this year, I was at like 10 or 11 employees working at the same time. And I've trimmed down now to about 6 after some work kind of let up and things like that. This time of year gets a little slow, but the guys I keep are really honest workers.
That's some of the hardest stuff to do in a trade, is not only maintain employees, but like find good employees.
Yes.
And doing exactly what you're saying, you're doing the small incentives, stuff like that. That is what retains people for sure.
Yeah. It does. Like, this business is still a baby. It's still new in a sense, even after the 5 years and learning things and falling and getting up. I definitely see more when implementing incentive to the guys. I think it's a benefit. Like I always say, if guys bring work to me into the business, like they got a job, cause like I said, they have contacts and stuff. They bring a job in, I get that work. they get something off that work as well as working on the job. They'll get a percentage of the project. They'll make money and make their own money, obviously working there. So, I try to incentivize anybody working here.
Nick, one thing I know about you, because we've worked together a lot, is that you're very reliable. And I think that's a really nice key word. And that's a word that you're welcome. That's a word that I try to be for myself in the businesses that I have as well.
Right.
And I don't even know that you've ever showed up as the electrician whenever we called your company, which goes hand in hand to what we talk about on this show all the time. We want to be that reliable person that gets the call because you can trust us that it'll get done. And it doesn't matter to you as the customer who gets it done. It'll get done at a fair price, at a fair timing, and it'll be right.
I thank you. I appreciate that. Reliability, I think, is should be the standard, right? I mean, you probably would say the same. I think that I've had that before where people are like, are you going to show up or are you going to, but I think that's something where, and we could talk more about this too, is the trade and trades in general have a stigma to them, right? Who you send in, people had gotten burned by guys who in the business that sound fantastic, that sound like they're going to do everything and then do not show up. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but that's important to me to be that person. And I gotta be honest with you. I rarely touch my tools. I won't go out in the field, and I've done that on purpose. I built the business that way to do it like that. I didn't leave my work being a unit electrician out in the field, breaking my ass in the winter, the summers or whatever, and to come do this, to do the same thing. I came to work and build a business, and that's what I made. That's what I kind of solidified with myself before I did it. But the reliability thing, you have to be. That's what sets you apart. The follow up, the reliability, showing up, being clean, communication, those are minimum 5 key factors that will make your business, anybody's business in this trade. If anybody listens to this would say those things will get you business on business.
I would argue that if you started showing up to jobs yourself, you would be less reliable.
I couldn't do it all. It's impossible.
Exactly.
You couldn't do it either. I mean, if you're running around, there's a point in which, whether you're doing the building management stuff or even with doing the real estate, it's impossible to be everywhere at the same time. Right. So for me, it's the same way. I can't be everywhere. It's impossible. Where I left off was that you can't be everywhere at the same time. It's impossible. So, I mean, where we want to grow the business, but I like to make it clear that that's the way it is too, because I don't want people thinking that's how I'm just throughout my 20s or whatever in the union. I've never seen the owner of the companies I worked for ever in my entire life. I wouldn't even have time to see the superintendents or even the project managers. It would be minimal. You know what I mean? So I think that's just the way it is. In the beginning, it's not, you got to get dirty, but there's a certain point where you make a decision. And I will tell you, I tell a lot of guys this too, that ask me questions about getting started and things like that. I go, there's 2 things you have to make a decision about. One, are you going to be running a business or are you going to just be working in it? You could work in a van with another guy with you, and you can go job to job and you can make a fantastic living. You're going to make money. I tell people all the time, you'll probably make $400,000 a year doing that, but you'll never grow anywhere. You're just going to be the guy in the van or 1 or 2 guys that are with you. You're going to be doing a couple houses a week and you're going to be maxed out at a certain point. So there's 2 ways to do the business, and it's your decision, and neither one is wrong. It's just a matter of which route you want to go.
There's so many different ways we could take this right now. This is speaking our language so perfectly. But one direction I want to go is what were the couple of handful of things that you did to specifically remove yourself from the day-to-day work?
God, what did I do? I don't know if there was any one thing I did. I really just started just staying in the office and forcing myself. Listen, that was the hardest thing too, is not going out there. And I think anybody would agree in the trades, if they see this, the hardest thing is not putting the tools on and running out and saving the day, is trusting the guys to finish it and trusting your skills to set a project up properly to finish it without you having to be there. I think that's the biggest thing. But there was no real one thing. I guess I just said, this is what I'm going to do. I sat in front of the computer. I started bidding. I started scheduling. I would order material. I would do all these things that were the back office stuff. And that was it. I think after the projects, I really just had to trust that this was going to happen this way too. I had to put my faith in the guys working for me and my ability to manage from a distance and then just do it that way, So I don't know if that answers the question that you're asking, but that's really what it did. I just had to like sit there in my seat, and it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. The hardest. I mean,
because you were an electrician for 20 years, and then you just turned into, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to manage other electricians. Those are two different skills.
Right. I'm going to sit in his office. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then it was like the hardest thing to do. I never did it in my life. So ever, right? I've never sat in front of a computer for most of the day and did the work like this. And then you kind of got to let go a little bit of the reins. Now I've definitely had gotten used to that now, but yeah, it was.
Well, it's like the NFL. Just because you're a really good player doesn't mean you become a really good coach. You're really good at playing. It doesn't mean you're good at managing other players.
Right. That's a great analogy on that. I'm not even the best at what I could be as of yet. I know I have a lot more to go, but I do feel like every challenge has advanced me into like fixing certain things, or hey, like this job.
Are there any things that you do on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to kind of keep your guys in line with your expectations as a company?
Once a month, we do a meeting in-house, and we try to just do cleanup work, make sure everyone's on point with what they are supposed to do with procedures, making sure they're keeping their tabs on the certain things. And listen, I have to clean up things all the time. The guys are not, I require like job details to be sent out every day, work with pictures and things that they completed. And sometimes they're on it, sometimes they're not. So there's those things, but I think once a month we do like a little bit of a ass whooping, and not to say they're not doing things good all the time, but it's definitely to keep things in line and making sure like, hey, is this cleaned out? Have you been doing this? Let me see your van. Let me do that. So yeah, I think once a month, but I think that's good for most companies to do.
It has
just
to
keep
happen.
track of something.
Yeah.
Weekly seems a little excessive, but I think a monthly for us is good. I think it keeps the guys good. And listen, I bring them in for both occasions when things are going great. It helps. Definitely helps. I can't say that.
Yeah, I think from my experience, a weekly meeting actually does a disservice, because what happens is something comes up on a Monday and we know that our weekly meeting is on Thursday. So we don't do anything about it until the weekly meeting.
Right.
So then those 3 days, nothing happened with that situation because, I'll just talk about it at the meeting on Thursday. Yeah. I'm like, wait, why didn't you figure this out on Monday? The weekly meeting is not for this, but it always ends up being for that.
It becomes a crutch, honestly, for them.
Yeah,
I feel like they're not thinking, right? They're just going to be like, oh, well, let me rely on that. And I've done that a bunch of times. I've caught myself, kind of like babying them on certain things, like with material and stuff like that, and allowing myself to be I'm a quote unquote asshole of it, and where I'm like running around like a giant. I'm like, wait a second, no. And it's because I'm doing it all the time. So they're like kind of anticipating like, he'll just collect the pieces. That's not going to happen. So that becomes a little bit of like, no.
I know that balance challenge for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. My goal is to fire myself from every position of this business as possible, and then be able to just kind of like, I wouldn't say sit back, but be able to advance to get more and more and more. If I have the pieces and set in place, then we're good to go,
The more smarter way.
Absolutely.
Right? Exactly. So all that you're saying is making me think that you're like trying to prep for a sale or something. You're trying to, this is something that you're going to be
of the company.
Yeah. Listen, I think that's a goal. I gave myself a 10-year, kind of plan to be to have the business running at a certain pace. With a certain depth to it in the office and as well as out in the field. I think I'm getting closer and closer to that every year. I think it's scary hiring for non-productive. I guess what I mean by non-productive, meaning like money producing assets to the business, such as like a project manager or like a superintendent or like admin that don't actually go out there physically bringing money in. So that's the challenge. But every year I adjust, I wouldn't even say I would say like every year I do adjust my numbers properly to account for the growth. So, and I tell everybody this too. I said, price yourself for the future, price yourself for the present. So my overhead has to be dictated towards what I see the company doing. So if I want an admin or I want a project manager, then I'm pricing them in and I'm having at least 6 months of their salary in play. And then I can go hunt for that position.
Yeah. Totally. Well, we're gonna grow in size pretty tremendously, so you'll grow with us.
I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that. That's a good thing too. That point you said right there, like clients, like I choose to work with certain people just as much as I choose the people working for my business. Like the contractors I have, like, are phenomenal. Like we have a great relationship, and the relationship is built off of what you just said. Like, we're growing. I want you to grow with us. Like the connection. I don't look at, like, there's contractors out there that are just fishing for numbers, right? They're just like, are you the lowest bid? Are you the lowest this? Are you the lowest that? Totally get it. I look for guys that are just like, you fit what we're doing. We work great together. There's no reason to leave. Like, we want to keep growing with you.
That's when business is good to you. When you're surrounded with good people and you know you're not going to be stressing out if someone doesn't pay you on a job, and you know that that's going to be taken care of, or people aren't going to go behind your back. that relieves all the stress.
Oh yeah, dude. Dylan, you're not even lying. When you're working with somebody in this field, you're getting in bed with them financially. It's a marriage. I say it all the time. Me and a friend of mine, we have a conversation about this all the time. So I'm trusting you to pay me a large sum of money to keep my business going. Don't take it lightly, right? That might as well be like us getting in bed together financially all day of the week. So it matters that who you pick and who you go with and the trustworthiness of all that, because like I said, you're dealing with somebody that's housing your money. I look at myself like a lender. I'm lending out labor, material, my finances to you, and I expect my return, and I expect my money to come back on a decent time frame. Pump out, sign this, approve that. I need verbal approval. I need written approval. I need your signature here. Like, I try to keep people accountable.
You're doing all that. You're doing all that yourself. All that paperwork. You're sending it out to DocuSign.
Yeah. So I have my Google is amazing. Google Workspace is an amazing tool. I kind of built my own little, project management setup and procedures that I do, and little templates of contracts and change order contracts in place. When there's a change order, I make sure it's written. I make sure I send it. I make sure it's approved. I don't care if it's approved by email, like, hey, yeah, you're good, let's do it. I mean, all that stuff is liable in the court of law. So for me, it's fine. I guess fine as long as everything is there and ready to go. Like, I'm cool. And yes, I'm on top of change orders, of the proposals to be sent out, signatures to be done. Like I said, I love the guys I'm working with, but I mean, for their sake and my sake, sign the contract. You know what I mean? Like, just sign the contract and we're good to go.
I could see the next step for you being maybe a virtual assistant. I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you know that the person you communicate with at my company is a virtual assistant in the Philippines?
Bernard?
Yes.
I'd say no. But I would say that it's fantastic. He's a good dude, and
he's so good. I love that guy.
And let me ask you something. I'll get you. It was a little nerve wracking to do that right in the beginning, because you're like, how is this going to come off to the people I work with, right? Like, is it going to be accepted? Are they going to know? Are they going to ask questions that this guy doesn't know? And I'm going to have to be like,
Yep. Yeah. We have different lanes for different employees. We actually, unfortunately, just had let our third one go yesterday. So we do swing and miss at a lot. Luckily with him, though, he's fantastic. And we can connect on how we found him and things like that if you're looking for someone later.
I thought about it. I'm still on the fence about it. I think that it's nerve wracking to do it.
Yeah. I
have sought after a little bit. And I've seen some numbers on it. Don't get me wrong. I definitely have inquired about it. I think, I guess I have to be a little trustworthy on my setup, because you have to set them up properly with all.
Yeah, we're still learning. We've created an HR program for us as the owners. Like, Bob handles HR now, and now we have a whole system of onboarding, and it's things we had to learn and fail through.
Yeah.
But I convinced Rob. I was the one who convinced him of virtual assistant to begin with.
He
was saying the same things you're saying.
Yeah, and that's a part of it. I think I'm kind of interested. I think that's where a lot of this is going sooner than later, because like I said, the virtual assistants, because those things are easy as long as somebody is responding. Even telling a client like, hey, thank you so much, Nick will follow up with you, and the next day we're gonna take all your information down, and people just want to know that they're being responded to, and that they're heard, and their requests are dealt with in whatever manner. So I guess to me, it's a benefit, especially for the admin work. Like, I mean, not even like, like the answering service stuff and things of that nature. I did try recently. So I hired a company to do, and another guy, this kid kind of got me, and I'm not one to bite on like sales tactic stuff, but kid got me, and he was definitely good with, he said, listen, we do strategic ad work, right? For service work and to build your service side. So I said, okay, I basically interviewed him to see where his head was at, what he does. I interviewed a couple of the people that he's done it for. And with the ad stuff, they built in their like a VA and somebody to answer the call and to screen the client before to make sure it's a proper lead, and they pitch it off to me. So that was a little nerve wracking. I was trying to interrupt the lead connector immediately because I didn't want like the AI like answering service to connect and then it be like not genuine, you know what I mean? Because I think that's what a lot of clients are kind of like a little nervous about.
So honestly though, with that, there's so much correlation with what you just said with AI and connecting with your like immediate phone call. Every call is going to you, and to the side where you're like, I don't want to be the one to answer a phone call and be expected to be at the job site in 20 minutes.
Right.
There's a correlation to that.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't want to like hurt anyone's feelings by saying this, but like there's a higher quality client that would appreciate you having systems in your business.
Yes.
And so you want to attract those people more than you rather get the lower quality business.
Yes. I think even the people who pay and that pay what I'm asking for are usually the people that just want to be responded to. So whether it would be somebody that's like, hey, this is so-and-so from Valento Electric. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Nick will be able to handle it, or we'll get you out this or whatever. The client just wants to be responded to. So those are the clients that want it. The one, like you said, I think the one who wants you to be the one, whatever, that's always the person that's looking to talk to the guy, to try to get the deal, to try to do the, you know what I mean? It's more or less that's the kind of person it is. So to me, yeah, it's definitely that.
Yeah. So to zoom out a little bit, you have an electric company. Is that okay?
Get it together,
Yeah.
man. That's
because I don't want to. Here's the thing. I don't want to say Nick is an electrician because he is the business owner. So I'm trying to separate those two.
Well, yeah, we have
and I'm having trouble articulating
electrical company.
So electrical company. But you also have some ownership in a pizzeria. So I was going to ask at first, how the hell do you go from a 20-year union job to just now being a business owner? Well, but it sounds like you have this experience from pizzeria.
Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it was some dream of mine. So it was definitely, I will tell you. So it's me and my brother-in-law and then our other partner, Dave. Dave was a pizzeria owner for a few locations, wound up, certain things happened. Places wound up closing here and there. But he was a startup business guy. So he went through his trials and tribulations, but he is a phenomenal pizza maker. Kid could do it. Right. So, I used to frequent his one location. We used to order a lot. So I knew him. I knew his product. It was awesome. And he, the last business he had, the location didn't do that great as far as like the rent and the landlord. The place was a shithole. Landlord didn't want to fix it up. So after their lease kind of maturing, they split, and then his other business partners split, and they never really got anything going after that. Wound up a year or so later, maybe 2 years later, my brother-in-law is like, hey, listen, this guy is trying to like do something. What do you think? And I'm like, I knew him, and I'm like, yeah, all right, let's sit and talk. I want to hear, I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear what you got. I'm always willing to keep an ear open on it. So wound up getting introduced, heard his side of it, what happened, because I'm like, so me, I dig. I'm like digging, like, what happened in the last place, things like that. I want to see whatever it is. But Dave is like a solid dude. He's a good guy. He's got a good heart, and he knows his stuff when it comes to pizza. And my brother-in-law is like, yeah, listen, I believe this could do something here. He's got a great objective. He knows what he wants to do, and we're just going to invest. I was still a little like controlling of the construction aspect because, he wanted to keep, Dave was like more or less, I want to keep it this way. I want to do things like this. And I'm like, no, we could do it this way. It's going to be quicker, more efficient. I'm just thinking like dollar money, like what's the most efficient way to get money in the door? And Dave's like, no, listen, I want it to be old school. I want the place to look like a 70s pizza place.
He's talking
He's like, I'm telling you, the feeling in here is going to be nuts. I promise you. I said, all right. I said, you know what, dude? I trust you. I throw caution to the wind here. I don't really want to throw my money away, but I trust what you're going to do. Let's do it. We had a lot of little like we had influencers come through. Portnoy came through. It was
What do you rate it?
Yeah, he rated it 7.9.
Nice.
It was interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was great. At the time, we felt a little like it would be a little higher. I know it sounds like presumptuous. He was sitting inside. They did a whole video of the inside of the place with the way it looks and stuff. So the exposure was tremendous. And it was cool. Like, even though we got a 7.9, like our clientele was like, no way, you got to go back. That's an 8.2. That's an 8.
Nice.
So now we're probably about like 6-7 months in, right? 8 months in, maybe. Yeah, not even a year. Definitely wasn't even a year yet. And, you know, I'm an investment. So I'm not even saying nothing. I don't have a hand in anything other than the fact that we just keep an eye. We go there, we promote it. We're promoting the shit out of it. Like, I want people to go and enjoy it. The place is cool. But it come to find, like, our partner Dave is not a business guy. He is not a back office guy. He's not good at keeping track of, like,
he's a pizza guy.
Pay this, like, oh, this bill came in. I got to take care of this or this. It got like well overwhelming for him. And I started, like, you know, like anything else, like every month we'd have our meeting and we'd go over like the account and see what was paid out to get our, you know, cause like this time we're still trying to get the flow. Like, this is a new business to me. So I'm taking it as I would take my business. I see how much is being paid to what, how much we're spending on materials, how much we're spending on, like, you know, the PSC&G utilities, the rent, like breaking everything down to get our, you know, what we need to run the place and what we need, you know, what we're taking home. I just noticed like things are not going like great as far as like him, like, oh, I forgot to pay this. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, I forgot. I'm like, all right. So I was like, listen, I said, our operating agreement was pretty basic. We're investing. That's it. This is our payback. This is how much we're taking, after everything's paid back. And that's it. We had to go back in, restructure the operating agreement, you know, change up things, responsibilities. We actually had to restructure the percentages and things like that. But it was for the better because truthfully, like I'm the one who handles payroll. I'm paying all the accounts for the, you know, vending and all the vendors and stuff like that. I keep track of the accounts. I take care of all the stuff offhand so Dave could just concentrate on menu, the staff, and making pie. And that's it. And then it was the better system because, in all honesty, like, we want this business to succeed. This is probably one of the coolest things I've ever been involved in, I should say. And I'm really like grateful that I even
like it almost seems like you're pretty hands-on. You're very hands-on now with the pizzeria.
Yeah.
How much of your day/week would you say you dedicate in like a pie chart wise percentage to your electrical company and now the pizzeria?
We'll call it like a 75-25. What I'm dealing with on the day-to-day when it comes to the pizzeria, between the payroll, dealing with vendors, and just fielding calls with Dave and my brother-in-law regarding the business, I would say like 25% of my day, whether it's fielding calls with Dave, dealing with a vendor, or doing payroll, or just popping in, making sure everything's good on his end, and if he needs anything.
Where do customers come from?
So, I mean, I'm not there full time. So every Friday I'm there. I try to like tell people, hey, come by. I'm there Friday. So anybody who's like, oh, like, you know, Jake or you would be like, yeah, I want to go. And I'd be like, hey, stop by Friday. I'm usually there at night, like 5-6 o'clock. Come by and, you know, whatever. So, but anyways, yeah, Fridays I'd be there working. Like, I, you know, hand pizzas out, like deal with the register a little bit, like, you know, make sure everybody's good. I'm like, where are you from? Like, oh, you know, I'm from Jersey City. Oh, I'm from Englewood. Oh, I'm from New York. Oh, I'm from PA. Oh, I'm from down the shore. I'm from different state. You know, we had a guy in the other day from, where was he from? North Carolina. You know, like a guy come from Dallas that was in and was like, yo, I saw this thing online. I got to try it. You know, like not they flew for it, but he was in the area and he was like, I got to have this and check this out. I have yet, and I've asked so many, people who run like PR companies and stuff, like, how do we know that this is working? I see the advancement in sales, right? I see the sales advancing, but how do I know it's coming from these group of posts or whatever? And there's no way to track the CRM with that. There's no way. There's just, you got to get out there and you got to just ask people where you got it. Where'd you see it? Where'd you get that? That's the beauty of IG. Like, that is the beauty of social media's benefit to business. So yeah, it's cool.
I got one quick logistical question before we wrap up here.
Yeah,
what happens if your chef, if Dave, the chef, is sick one day?
So, great question. The kid Osmar used to come to the shop and on Mondays and make a bunch of pizzas to ship. So Osmar was basically filling in and helping here, and we were paying him, right? And we were helping him. Like, he was looking for work. He wasn't working there. So eventually he came on full time. Again, hired off of attitude. He knew what he was doing. He's been in the business. He's young. He's 20 years old, just turned 21. And his attitude is phenomenal. Best kid ever. Awesome. All our staff is awesome, but Osmar is he's a genuine dude. He learned how to make our dough, learned how to, the setup of everything. We kind of fixated him into more of a management position because he was full time and he had the capability to do so. And, for the 6 months, we groomed him into the position. So now Dave doesn't come in or something, God forbid, happens, and Osmar's right there to take over. He knows what he needs. He knows if he's missing something needs to be ordered. So we're gearing him up more to take on more of a responsibility role with ordering and taking advantage of those responsibilities, because I want to shift it all to him. What that'll do is, like what I was saying, in any business, you got to fire yourself. That would fire Dave from a couple different responsibilities and allow him to work on either if we had to advance to another location, because then we'd be able to take Dave, move him into a new spot, do a setup, build it out, boom, and just repeat the process again. So it was important. So that's to answer your question. Yeah, we have somebody in place that basically makes the pizza full time. So Dave will step in when needed, but right now he's kind of just manages. He deals with the ordering process. He makes sure quality control's on point.
Yeah, well, Nick, that was great. I love everything about your attitude, and the fact that you're able to balance both businesses is very impressive. So we very much look forward to having you on again in the future. Yeah, and seeing how many locations of your pizzeria you got and how selling your business, your
I promise business. You gotta come on next time. Let me know. I'll definitely have, hopefully there'll be growth in some aspect and I'll have some more to talk about. Definitely.
Love that. So, absolutely.
I appreciate you guys. Jake, Dylan, thank you. Dylan, it was great to meet you.
Great meeting you too. Nick, where can people find you?
So Benevento Electric, Co on IG. And then also same on Facebook. And then, for that, and then Casano's Pizza Parlor, that's on, IG as well for the pizzeria. Yeah. And, also my website, ValentoElectricNJ.com. Go pop on there. My number's on there. Anybody can reach out, and email is right on there too. So be happy to talk to anybody. Give me a call.
Thanks. Awesome. Nick. Sounds good. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone, thanks for listening. Subscribe, comment, follow along to the More Smarter Show.
Only if you like it.
Yeah. Only if you're smart.